Oh, I got it facing the wrong way. All they see is David.
Oh no, that's pretty scary.
Teresa.
Get you some.
I did some updates.
Well, good. Then I'll be able to watch
And,
it. I was wondering how I was going to watch class. That was in my mind, trying to figure out how to watch the class off my phone.
There we go. No?
Going through
There we go.
side.
No, I'm not going. I'm not making no.
All right. Dixie Preem.
No, I know it ain't gonna be this month.
Rosalie. Hey, Rosalie. Carla Manzanares. All right.
I might as well.
We're gonna do some inner space today, but we're gonna be all over the place because today's Yom Tov. We gotta do that. I ain't even. I know it's in here. I don't know where. Oh yeah. Once again, we're gonna prove the Talmud soars above everybody's heads. Once again. All right. What am I doing? Here we go. Today we get to study Torah for the sake of heaven, for the sake of Israel and all Jerusalem. We're about to give our Torah and the merit of our study in Torah to Stephen King, Abraham Ben Moshe Gilla, Ed Stribling, Linda Flora, Carl Lucerio, Brandon Ross, Walsh, Raymond Rosentrader, Brooke Gibson, Paul Navarez, Jared Matledge, Patients of Texas Oncology, Rita Wilson, H.L. and Betty McCuskey, Maria Onestaff, Elise Hagar, Nadine Freeman, Logan Willis, Billy Hope, Charles David, Rosa Honda, Christopher Durka, Noel Cardoza, David Douglas, Vicki McLean, Savannah, daughter of Matthew Misty Katz, Tom and Karen Maitland, Sandra Hayes, Carol Tinkle, Larry Langberg, Juliet Navarez, Blake Hanna, Leela Briscoe, Sam Peak, Yehuda Had Ben Matei Leah, James Lennon, David Jenkins, Jake Suarez, Bobby Williams Sr., Sally Talamontes, the Rogers family, Damia Washington, Carol Scott, Rabbi Richmond, Maurice Greenwood, Gracie Bell Linder, Brandy Boots, Amanda Elliott, Frank Pollard, Carol's family, Babe Denard, Michelle Magnuson, Jenna Marie, Kimberly Brown, Debbie January, Kim Lively, Crispin Rodriguez, Sandra Hurth, Virgil Williams, Brad Mace, Josh and Olivia Nickerson, Jerry Matlis, Dylan Tinkle, Amber Merchant, Simca Ben Abraham and family, Celinda Sheffields, Luis Gutierrez and family, Aaron Price, Gail McWhorter, Sonia Kinzer, Kathy John, John Michael Christopher Ramos, Jean, son of Jock Coates, Nellie Warlick, Tahila Buello, Miranda Rosas, Jim Barfield and family, Naomi Bot Simca, Terry King, Ronald Whitlow, Kathleen Graham Walsh, Brandon's family, Mila Rose, Monica Johnson, Ed and Dottie Garrison, Moshe Salavacek, Donna Marie, Farrar Sajid, Benson Ewing, Darlene Youts, Debbie Henson, Anita Jones, Jessica Ross, Douglas Eldridge, Brandon Welch, Phoebe Bridges, Salvador Gutierrez and family, Jacob Ben Simca, Max Wagner, son of Marcy Wagner, Mark Matledge, Emily Botova, Jackie Cup, Nadine Bot Miriam, Carla Manzanares, Beth Carmen, and Elvia Rosas, Alton Tillman, and that all rounded up. Now, turn that on. I better move this back just a little bit. Garrett, move that for me, buddy. There we go.
Good.
Okay. All right. There's Gloria. Hello, Gloria. Ruler of the universe and master of all masters, Father of mercy and forgiveness, we thank you, our God and the God of our fathers, by bowing down and kneeling, that you brought us closer to your Torah and your holy work, and you enable us to take part in the secrets of your holy Torah. How worthy are we that you grant us with such a big favor? That is the reason we plead before you, that you will forgive and acquit all of our sins, and they should not bring separation between you and us. May it be your will before you, our God and the God of our fathers, that you will awaken and prepare our hearts to love and revere you, and may you listen to our utterances and open our closed heart to the hidden studies of your Torah. And may our study be pleasant before your place of honor as a aroma of sweet incense, and may you emanate to us light from the source of our soul to all of our being, and may the sparks of your holy servants through which you revealed your wisdom to the world shine. May their merit and the merit of their fathers and the merit of their Torah and holiness support us so we shall not stumble through our study. And by their merit enlighten our eyes in our learning, as stated by King David, the sweet singer of Israel. Open my eyes so that I see wonders from your Torah. Because from his mouth God gives wisdom and understanding. May the utterance of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart find favor before you, God, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen. Okay. And I say this for my aspects. This is Innerface 16. But before we get to Innerface 16, we're going to spitball it a little bit in here today, okay? One of the things is we have lots of concepts. We have Noga, we have alchemy. We have all these things going on that we're working with. Remember we studied Kushta and Luz and all these different things. And today, what I'm going to try to do, if I can do it, is I'm going to take all those things and wrap them into one teaching. And hopefully it makes sense. Okay? And I'm going to try to do it through our Innerface teaching. But, in my lesson with Bax today, he said that, he goes, I found the key. And he goes, I found the key from what you told me the other night. And what that meant was, he and I do a meditation every Monday night together on the phone. There's 3 of us. We do a 3-way meditation, and we've been doing it for a while. And so, and then Tuesday when I had class, I was telling him about my experience in my meditation. And we're going to look at this through Noga. Okay? So, we know, as we have studied, that, and I have it up here on the board, that we have Or Pinimi and Or Makif. We have a surrounding light, a Makif. We have an inner light, Pinimi. So if we look at our torus, we have an inner light and an outer light. And that's how it's either on the outside or the inside, right? Now, with that, you have Noga. You have Noga for the Makif, and you have Noga for the Pinimi, the inner light. Okay? So there's now, it hits you, Sveidinim. There's, Ger, Sveidinim, this, Sveidinim. Everything is Messiah, Sveidinim, meaning there's 2. There's 2 ways to look at it. A right here way and a right here way. We see that all the time. Okay? So we know in the torus we have aspects that are Davidic and aspects that are Josephic. Okay? We know the Messiah is Adam. That's plain and clear. We know that there's 2 modes of messianic process. One is Josephic, one is Davidic. With the Josephic, it has its own Noga. Okay? The Messiah ben Joseph has Noga, which we've been calling Noahides or B'nai Noach. But we've tried to put Ger there. And we've made a crucial error. Because Ger, the non-Jew that has no halakha, is not Josephic. It's Davidic. So you have the head, which is the Atara or the Ateret Hayesod. The crown is Davidic. The head of Esau is aligned with Jacob's head. That's Davidic. That's not Josephic. Okay? So, when Adam is in the Gan, and when we study Torah, what do we always do? Take it back to the garden. We don't ever study Torah where we don't say, take it back to the garden, right? So we look at everything from the Gan. Is there any halakha in the Gan? No. Now, there are 6 basic laws. There's really 3 that are 6. Only when Noah comes about, and the 7th law is basically added. But you can't find the 7 Noahic laws in the Torah because they're encoded in Genesis. You can't look in Parsha Noah and find the 7 Noahic laws because they're not Noahic laws. They're Adamic laws. All right? So, was Noah a Noahide? A Noahide, since there is no such thing as the term Noahide, it's called B'nai Noach, right? So, could Noah possibly be B'nai Noach? Impossible. He can't be the son of himself. So what is he? He's B'nai Adam. And in Leviticus 18, verse 5, I'll start at verse 4. Carry out my laws, safeguard my decrees, follow them. I am Hashem your God. You, verse 5 is brand new. You shall observe my decrees and my laws, which Adam shall carry out, and by which he shall live. I am Hashem. It's completely different. One says Hashem Elohim, and the second verse just says I am Hashem. One is likened to the laws and the mitzvahs of the 613 of Torah B, and one is likened to the Torah and mitzvahs of Torah A. I am Hashem. Elohim aspect doesn't come in. So now we have a whole new structure and a whole new creature, because there are 2 aspects of Adam: Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David. Was Noah saved? Yeah. How was Noah saved? Did he do the 613 mitzvot? No. Did he circumcise himself? No. Did he do a mikvah? Did he have a Beit Din? Did he become Ger Tzedek? What did he do? No, what did he do? God said, no, if you want to be saved, you got to build an ark. Build an ark. What is an ark? An ark is a malchut, which is the Teret HaYesod. Because Noah is the son of Adam, we know Noah is Yesod. And the ark is the malchut. All right? Now, was he righteous?
Yes.
What does that mean? He guarded Yesod, by definition. So that means, that tells us right there that what he did was he kept the laws of the God. He kept the laws of the God. So if he built, if he guarded the malchut, which he did, that means he kept the covenant. And a covenant is a brit. And a brit is a circumcision. Was Noah circumcised? Yes, he was. Did the flood wash everything away from the ark?
Yes.
There's his mikvah. Now, we know that this is running on a higher level. But that's the level that we run at. We know what's going on. There's your circumcision. There's your mikvah. Did Noah do a field altar? Did he do a sacrifice? And in the new world, which is like the Lom Haba. That's the new world. That was the world that came, the world to come. Although it was a lower state, this is Adam recreating everything through Noah. So he did a field altar. So, do you follow the 7 B'nai Noach laws? Yipper. There's your Brit. You know? Has that removed the klipa from you just like the flood did? Yep. You're not an idolater anymore. There's your mikvah. Have we done a field altar? Yep. We did one a week ago. Right? We did it. What does that mean? Does that mean we're Ger Tzedek non-Jew? Does that mean we're now Ger Tzedek Jew? Or does that mean we're just like Noah and it's called B'nai Adam, sons of Adam? What is the difference between that classification? That Noah didn't have any halakha. He just guarded Yesod. He was just righteous. He didn't get in idolatry. He didn't do this. He used what knowledge he had of Adam. That is garden Torah. Torah A, garden Torah. He used the Torah he had that he got from Enoch, who is none other than Metatron. Right? And Metatron is none other than aspect of Mashiach. And Metatron is none other than the teacher of Torah and of all mitzvot and all Torah written and oral. And that's where Noah learned what to do. He wasn't B'nai Noah. Noah wasn't a Noahide. And everybody uses Noah as the archetypical Noahide, which doesn't make any sense. So he was Josephic, and he created the Davidic. This created the whole new thing. God removed all the chaos, all the tohu from around him, and boom, brand new life. Now, just as there is Noga for the Or Makif, there is Noga for the Or Pinimi. This is why Noahides don't understand Ger at all. And it's okay. And this is why the Jews that are there are Jews and rabbis that love Noahidism and are connected to Noahidism, and that is where it's at. And then there's other Noahides, we'll just call them Noahides, that are different than those Noahides. And their rabbis are different. They see it this way. They do this. They do that. Completely different. What is it? Or Makif or Pinimi. Messiah ben Joseph, Messiah ben David. Messiah ben David has to land in between every world, Asiya, Yetzirah, Berea, and Atzilut. We know there's Noga by definition. And we're going to see in this week's Parsha that's lined up with Deuteronomy. The only difference in the entire redaction in the Parsha is the Sesua. This crazy animal that with 2 spines that is it's the freaky friends. It's wrote verbatim except for the complete split hoof, the Sesua. Over there. Why? That's the Noga of the Or Pinimi. All right? So, what we become is the Noga attached to the Davidic, not the Josephic. There's a big difference in that. We use Torah B to get to Torah A. We don't discount Torah B ever. But we go through the Talmud. We come up through the legs, and we go up through the body, up through the head. Where everybody else discounts the oral, this is just this. That is on the periphery. We're in the union. Oral and written. That's the union. Okay? So, There are those who are going to be on the periphery, and they're always going to be on the periphery, and that is their coordinate, and that is okay. And you can argue with them, and you can beat your head on this table, and they will never get it. It is impossible. Nor will their Jews or their rabbis that they're learning from ever get it. On the klal, they're completely Messiah ben Joseph related. They will never get it. Now, the ones who are connected to Davidic are different. They're going to see it different. They're going to teach it different. They're going to find it different. It's going to be completely different in their mind. Joel Bax, it's completely different. Whole nother level. Okay? And David Katz is a Cohen. So this is why in the Talmud, in Avodah Zoa, Tractate Avodah Zoa, basically around 3b, and the Gemara is talking with Rebbe Meir, used to say, even when it says a Gentile, it's really B'nai Noach, when a B'nai Noach engrosses himself in the study of Torah, he is equal to the Kohen Gadol. Which Kohen Gadol? The Kohen Gadol that there is no temple for, or the Kohen Gadol Metatron? As soon as you engross yourself in Torah, now you attach. And I put a thing on here this week about the 7 laws are not for the non-Jew; they're for the Jew. I could give a Bible, and every Christian in the world has a Bible in their house, and they couldn't be able to find the 7 laws if they tried. If you told them, find the 7 laws of Noah. But the Jew can tell you where the 7 laws of Noah are. Therefore, the 7 laws of Noah are for the Jew to measure you with. That's their measuring stick, their Metatron stick. And as soon as you Kabbalah them, accept them, receive them, now you are not an idolater. There's no such thing as goy. You're either an idolater or you're not an idolater. So now you're not an idolater. Now you become more Jew-like. Just what we read. You become like the Kohen Gadol, depending on how far you go, right? So you become more Jew-like. And we call it being Jewish. All right? So you take on more Torah. All right? But if you want to marry one, now because you're going toward Kohen, right? Now if you want to marry one, more physicality has to come into play because you live in physicality. Now you have to, like David, like you did. Now you have to go through the hoops of Ger Tzedek. Physical milah. Physical mikvah. But still, it will be physical korban.
Right.
Okay? Still, you can't get out of the 3 things Noah established. Noah established that, not the Talmud. And I just went through and proved how he did. Okay? So now that whole operating system there is working. All right? And you are becoming, now you can marry a Jew because you did what was required to marry a Jew. I don't want to marry a Jew. You don't want to marry a Jew. What the heck? We don't need to. All right? And when you get on the inside, and when you're in Atzilut, there's no klipa in Atzilut. There's no halakha in Atzilut. Everybody's naked and nobody cares. You see? That's why the Ger get away with what they get away with. Oh, can we do a filter? Oh, yeah. What's a halakha? You know? I tried all last week to find the prayer over the field offering to do the shlema. Guess what? It don't exist. It don't exist. So we made one up. You know, we made one up, and it was just as good as if we, if we'd have gotten one. So what I'm saying is, there is Messiah has landed. The garden has landed. The Davidic Messiah has landed, and the proof is there's this thing that's crazy Ger thing exists, and nobody knows what to do with it. Why? Because it's on the inside. It is on the inside. There will always be the outside. There will always be the inside. And as soon as it starts going, everything's going up into absolute. That's why Ger are called strangers. Right? What are you strange from? When Adam, we're B'nai Adam. We're sons of Adam. When that falls out of absolute, Berea, Yetzir, Nasiya, that's a strange land. We're supposed to be in absolute. There you're not a stranger. In the Gan, you're not a stranger. You're home. But when you're outside the Gan, you're a stranger. Case in point, were there Ger before Mount Sinai? Yeah. Yeah, Abraham said, hey, God told him, hey, you were Ger while you were in Egypt. Right? You was all Ger.
Yeah.
You should love the Ger because you were Ger, which means there was Ger before Sinai. You see? So it's this whole idea of being a stranger in a strange land didn't just happen with the Talmud. It's a never not coordinate. And this is why we have Job. Is Job a Jew? Is Job not a Jew? Is Jethro a Jew? Jethro not? Because they were before Sinai and they were after Sinai. That's why you have such a paradigm going on here. And it just keeps snowballing. And if you get stuck in non-kushta, non-truth thinking, you'll never get out of it. You'll never get out of it. All right. So that's my little rant for today about what we really are. Okay. Now, on to some Torah. We're going to start with the Talmud. Today is Yom Tov. What does that mean? It's an Adam Yom Tov. Why are all the men in the world asleep? Because Adam's in Dormita, and the women's movement is rising, and the Gubarot is coming, and it's all this stuff. Well, Adam's fixing to wake up, and Davidic is fixing to hit. This is what it looks like. All right. And when does it hit? Actually, tonight at sundown. Tonight at sundown is when the sea parted. Why does the sea part? And there's a trade-off. I think it's the Ben Ish Chai says that every single exile that ever happened and that is happening now was because of the Red Sea. All right? What happened at the Red Sea was God basically had to make a deal with himself. All right? Blood for blood. Okay? We're going to kill the lamb, blood. You're going to kill the Egyptians, blood. See? Blood for blood. And now the other side gets to pay back of blood. Whose blood? The Jews' blood. And the payoff, the payback was the golden calf. Because the Tzimtzum had gotten so far, and God had basically gone beyond himself and had to get back in, that the Kriyat Yam Suf, what's called the Reed Sea, in Hebrew it's called the Kriyat Yam Suf, that's the edge of the Ein Sof, had to rip and get back in. And this is the aspect of him making a deal with himself, and we'll just call it on the Peshat level here, making a deal with the devil, okay, with the Satan, because there has to be the adversary there has to be this aspect of virus, and that's when the whole thing goes viral. So here is how it's taught. What I gave y'all is exactly what happened in English. And now we're going to see how the Talmud explains what I just said. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan said, with the birth of daughters, propagation came to the world. Reish Lakish said, with the birth of daughters, conflict came to the world. Reish Lakish challenges Rabbi Yochanan's view. Reish Lakish said to Rabbi Yochanan, according to give birth, it ascends to the top of a mountain, and its offspring will fall from her and die. But I, God, will prepare an eagle for it that catches the falling newborn in its wings and sets it before its mother. Now, if the eagle would fly by 1 moment earlier or 1 moment later, the newborn would die instantly. I do not confuse 1 moment with another. Would I confuse Job with an enemy? And the word Ivoi, Job, and the word Ovoi is Job an enemy if you just change one deal there. And the example is, can you anticipate the pangs of a gazelle? Remember this? Mm-hmm. The birth canal of the gazelle is too narrow for its young to pass through. So when she squats to give birth, I prepare a snake for her and bites her in the birth canal, which comes loose as a result. And then the gazelle gives birth. Now, if the snake would bite 1 moment earlier or 1 moment later, the mother would instantly die. Would I confuse Job with my enemy? That is the story that is in code in the Talmud of the splitting of the Red Sea. The Nukva, the daughter, is in Katnut. Gadlut, Katnut. This is tonight. She's in Katnut. But guess what? She's pregnant. So how can you be pregnant in Katnut? It's like a 10-year-old girl with a 9-month baby overnight. That's what happened the night of Passover. Basically 7 days later, they went out, and basically 7 days later, they get to the Red Sea, and that's tonight. Okay? So there is a birth now that needs to happen. So God prepares. So what do? They use the gazelle and the snake. Mm-hmm. You know? And throughout the Psalms it talks about, you know, Israel is like a fawn or a deer that pants in the brook. Well, that's what they're talking about here. This is the gazelle, right? And the Nakash, the serpent, is obviously the snake in the story, and it gets to the Red Sea, and who jumps in the Red Sea?
Israel has to go into.
Who jumps in first? No.
Mary.
No.
Oh.
It sounds like Nakash. A man named Nakshon splits the sea. And of course, the bones of Joseph, there's Yesod, there's the Nakash Yesod, and the staff of Moses, it all lines up. Boop, 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 boop. And it splits the sea. And so, all night, they're traveling through the sea, and when day breaks the next morning, which is tomorrow morning, that's the Song of the Sea.
Birth of Israel.
That's the Song of the Sea. And it starts with Uzzah, which is, they went through Uzzael, which is the Nephilim, the angels, the fallen angels, that whole deal. They went through the Klippa and the Tohu, and they came out. This was, now, God, because God expanded so far to create Israel, they went in Hebrews, they came out as Israel, right? He went so far to create that, the other side has to get its pay. All right? And it went from the Torah that Abraham had in Genesis 26:5. You know, it says, and he had my Torots, dual, written, oral, all my observances and decrees and statutes and all this stuff. He had the whole thing. That was a big Torah. Who did he get that from? Melchizedek. Shem, Torah Shem. It went from that to now fractured at the golden calf, the shattering of the vessels, like we're studying in inner space. The shattering of the vessels is the shattering of the 10 Commandments. And now you got 613, and now everything has to be organized. Ark in the middle, you have to put, and then all the Erev on the outside of the camp. Now everything has to be separated. The women have to be separated, the men have to be separated. Separation. All right. Along comes the Ger, 4,000 years later, and we like to leapfrog over all of it. Why? Because we're not going away from the garden on the timeline. We're going back the other way. We're getting closer to the garden, not further away. That's why we're going this way. The end is looped in the beginning. So when you're going there, are you going toward the edge of God, or are you going toward the center of God? Well, you're going toward the edge center, right? So now God has to give an episiotomy, split the sea. There's your blood. That's the ripping, which was the birthing of the nation. And the only way he could do it, that's why he keeps putting Job in here. Is it Job or my enemy? Oh, well, so what does God do? He sends the enemy over there to Job. And Job saves Israel from the enemy. So, that's why.
As a gear.
Yeah, he's Adamic. You see, Job. You know, there's stories in the Talmud in the Agadah where Job was best friends with Isaac. Well, that's 700 years, 800 years before that. So there's our Noga. You know, some say Job lived here, some say Job lived there, some say Job wasn't a man. You know, there's a whole big oscillation going on here with Job. So anyway, I just wanted to give y'all a little bit on Yom Tov because that's happening real time right now. Okay? So much for the Talmud. Now, we're going to get in to inner space, and then we're going to take another fractured fraction. Go to page 80. Page 80 in your inner space. All right. We talked about the kings, and this thing talks about the kings a little bit more. What are the fallen kings? Those are the shattered vessels of Nekudim. It's where you get the term Nekudot. Okay? So we have Akudim, Nekudim, and Berudim or Berudim. All right? So we're talking about the world of Nekudim, the world of Tohu and chaos. And as we go through this, you will see that it still exists. This is what everybody is fixing. Okay? This is what all the Tikkun is about, is this thing right here. All of the world of Berudim is to fix the world of Nekudim. That's all it's doing. All right. The main point that the Torah seems to be making about these kings is that they ruled and died in succession, one after the other. This applies that all of them except Hadar, who's the last one, did not die. Perhaps, as we shall say, this is related to the fact that it's the only king whose wife is mentioned. Why? The kingdom, Nukva, he had a vessel to contain. Okay? In the meantime, the death of each of the kings alludes to the shattering of the original vessels and the falling to a lower level. If something falls to a lower level, it's called what?
Death.
Death. When you die, they lower you in the ground, lower level. Okay? So shattering and death are the exact same thing. So, who decreed death on Adam? Adam? Nakash? Eve? Or was it the shattering of the vessels?
Shattering.
That's right. And the next question is, which Adam? You see? So, Josephic non-Jews will gravitate toward Adam Harishon. Davidic non-Jews, Noga, will gravitate toward Adam Kadmon. It's fate in him. It has to work like that. There always has to be lesser Metatron, greater Metatron. It doesn't work any way else. Okay? Now, the beginning of the shattering here is the At, ending with the Malchut. These are called the Nekudim, or points, or died. The dissolution and descent of the spiritual vessel is thus explained mainly through two allegories. In one case, it is seen as shattering, in the other case, it is dying. It is important to note that after the death of the kings of Edom, which is Rome, which is America and Europe and that whole thing, Edom and Rome, to the same event with different allegory. In both cases, the situation of confusion and chaos leads to complete breakdown and loss of identity. If we don't have loss of identity in America right now, I don't know what we got. This is a result of shattering the vessels, because they're not containing anything, and they're not sharing anything if they do contain it. They're receiving for the sake of self alone. In fact, the reason that the Sphirot of Nekadim are called Malakim, the kings, is intimately related to their being separate and distinct vessels. As we have seen in the aspect of Malchut kingship, the last Hay of Yud Hey Vav Hey, which represents the idea of the vessel, that it can receive and eventually give back something more perfect. As in, a man gives a woman his seed, she gives him back a whole baby. Okay? In their primitive state, the kings are vessels of Nekadim. However, the Sphirot were only able to receive God's light, without the additional ability to interact, to give within each other. In other words, they were in the world of Akudim, they were all bound up. So the light was singularity. Then when it tried to separate out, it tried to give the light, and it shattered. And why? Because the Sphirot weren't connected. On our spherotic structure here, you see the lines? They're all connected. That means they can share. This is the dance of Hasidim and Guvurot. If this one's getting a little heavy, this one can pull a little away from it. You see what I mean?
Balance.
It can balance. All right? If they're not connected, they're just like a water balloon. God's pouring the water in, and there, pow! All right? Because his light's too much. So, without the additional ability to interact with each other, they could not fulfill their ultimate personal vessel. When God gave his light to them, they were overwhelmed and shattered. I just described it. Okay? We use the water balloon theory. This also explains why the Sphirot of Malchut kingship is referred to as evil. Who created evil? God created evil. Right? The reason for this, evil was created as a result. It's a byproduct. The reason for this is that Malchut not only has the power to hold, but also the power to hold back and constrain God's light. Thus, on one hand, it is the ultimate vessel that God created to allow the universe to withstand and receive his light, and on the other, it is the counterforce that opposes his power of giving. It's a filter. It can restrain him. That's what Guvurot. Guvurot is restraint. All right? Now, let's see. Where did I stop here, Russ? Okay, I got it. Since the function of evil is essentially the ability to hold back and conceal God's light, in other words, the dimmer switch, making it dark, The kings or the vessels of Nekudim are therefore said to contain the root and potential for evil. This inherent flaw will result in their shattering, giving birth to a realm where evil actually exists. They were the potential of. Okay? That's why I said evil is really a byproduct of what happened. All right?
Is it a waste product?
Yeah, it's the waste product.
Yeah.
All right? So, if we want to go down that road, here's what happens. Yeshu Hanotri. We know that's waste product. Make a hole in the hay. What does it say right here? Made a hole in the hay. Right? In the tetragram in the hay. Which is Ben 52. Ben 52 of Sog and Ben. That's the hole in the hay. So, what do we know? Uzzah, Azazel, backside. Always waste. A woman has a front side and a backside. A man has a front side and a backside. Both backsides produce waste. There is no waste in Atzilut. But when Adam looks to the backside can only attach itself to the backside. Okay? Which is the place of waste. So, where was the... But up there, it's creating everything because that whole woman's a vessel. We call her... It was Haya, but then it went to Hava. So that's creating... So it was creating the waste, and we're going to call that Cain and Abel. And all the evil waste, Cain killed Abel. The greater evil killed the lesser evil. So that creates all the waste. All right? And so...
Where was Lilith on that? Lilith was
she
was the backside of Hava? Or?
The backside... Well, there's a backside Adam, backside Hava. Adam's got a backside that's with her backside. It's quadratic, but it's holographic.
Right.
It's all one holographic, but it's all quadratic as well. Because we're in 6 directions. Up, down, front, back, and north and south. Okay? So, what happens? This side produces, but then, when Adam cleans himself off, he has union with the front side of Hava, produces Seth. That's why the Jews can never be idolaters. They can be apostates, but they can never be idolaters because they have no root from the other side. You see, they can never be. So now we have Uzzah and Azazel, we have the Nephilim, we have the Tower of Babel, we have all, this is all waste. The son of the Israelite woman, Gehazi, all that, Yeshu Hanotri. And it's all crap, literally. But why do you have to have the waste? It's the fertilizer that makes everything grow. You know, if you kill the Sitra Achra, you take away all the passion, and there's no procreation.
Right.
All right? And so what do we see now today? The whole backdoor sex thing is the latest, greatest hit. All right? And the word AIDS in Hebrew is chavet, chava-et, which is the chet, which is the sin of Adam. It's always been there. It's never not coordinate. And how is it transmitted? Through the back door. Never not coordinate. Okay? So let's go on. Got a little rabbi trail there.
That's a good one.
The vessels were originally among the axioms given in creation. This puts them in the sphere of Hokmah, or wisdom, which parallels the universe of Atzilut. In Atzilut, nothing broken, everything's cool, right? Unified. When they could no longer contain the light that was coming into them, however they shattered. No longer able to exist in Atzilut, they fell outside of Atzilut. Now they're strangers, right, in a strange land. and became a source of what would be known as the word Berea, or the universe of Berea, the world of creation, Genesis chapter 1, that comes after Genesis chapter 36. Genesis chapter 36 is before Genesis 1. The word Atzilut means nearness to the divine, where bar or bara means outside. Berea is therefore the outside realm by definition. Lest divine than absolute. In Berea, God's existence is slightly more concealed. For this reason, Berea is called Olam HaPeru, the universe of separation. What did we read our prayer? Do not separate us from you when we study Torah, right? We're plugged into absolute. Now, what do we know about Kushta? What do we know about Luz? What do we know about these things? There is no death there. So where is that place? That's the Gan, right. The entrance to the Gan, right?
Right.
And I'm fixing to.
That's because there's no waste there.
There's no waste. That's right. And I'm fixing to show you through Rav. We're gonna hit Rav Volley. We're gonna hit the finish high. I'm gonna wrap this all in. I think it'll turn out what we really need to grasp. It is here that the responsibility of evil originates in Berea. The source of this evil is fragments and shards of the holy vessels of Atzilut. Fragments and shards of holy vessels are called nitzots. Nitzot. Okay? These are the hole and sparks that have fallen, and Adam has got to pick them up. How does Adam pick them up? He creates a Jew and gives him a mitzvah to work the ground. And that mitzvah is, you got to do this. There's 613 of them and expanded, and all that is picking up the pawpaws and putting them in the basket. That's all they're doing. All right? That's why the Noahide, Ger, B'nai, Adam, we can do all the mitzvahs we want to align ourselves with Jews to help be the Noga for them to extract the sparks, but we're not doing anything. But it's coming through us, not to us. Does that make sense? We're not actively doing any tikkun, but without us there is no tikkun. We're the necessary layer. Always has been that way. Never not. Adam's got to be a complete vessel. We are the completion of that. Now, thus the vessels shatter and lose their identity, that they should cease to exist. However, as the great Ari explains, the spiritual dimension is governed by the laws of conservation, similarly to that which we see in the physical universe. According to this principle, something that was created in a spiritual realm cannot cease to exist. Atzilut, Torah A, does not cease. The principles that apply there are always intact here. Maybe by a thread, but they're always going on. All right? That's why we can read that piece of Talmud, and it sounds like a snake's biting a goat on the butt, but we know what's going on. That's Atzilut versus Asiya. All right? And most people read the Talmud from an Asiya point of view. They don't ever read it from an Atzilut point of view. And that's the only way we try to read it. Or at least that's what our goal is. The axiom has to be separating the vessels. Logically, then, they cannot cease to exist. In a sense, the only reason for their continued existence now is logic. And now we go from Hokmah to Bina, because now we're going to understanding. Thus, the destruction of one universe, a new universe is created. Think of it as rings on a tree. This is Berea. Now, he's doing a play off the logic and the understanding here of saying, and he scrambles the word and it doesn't spell anything. But here's what he's doing. Noah found grace in the eyes of God. Right? Grace is the word chaim. Het nun. Het nun, if you look at it from het nun, it spells chaim or grace. If you look at it from Noah's point of view, from Berea, het nun is nun het. Nun het is Noah. You see? Same word where you're looking from. All right? So, Noah and grace are the exact same thing. Of course, Noah found grace in his eyes. It was him. You see? That's what it's trying to teach you. Now, sparks of holiness. Let's dive into this, because this is where I want to do a tangent. Perhaps the most famous allusion to the breaking and the vessels appears in the second verse of Genesis when it says, the earth was without form, tohu, and empty, bohu, with darkness on the face of the deep. But God's Spirit moved over the face of the waters. Russell, remember that teaching we did a long time about the death, burial, and resurrection was in that verse?
First verse, 5 yeah.
Okay, here it is. This is it. Merachet, pet. It's not a fa. That just looks like it. Yeah. As we have mentioned, the word tohu means chaos. It can also mean void or without form. Bohu means emptiness, or we're going to call that a vessel. This is the emptiness of a vessel ready to receive. So it's one, front side, back side. You're either in total shattered, waste, empty vessel, whatever, or you've poured out all everything and you've got a vessel ready to receive, willing to receive it. Okay? Mm-hmm. Chaos versus emptiness. Emptiness is a good thing because God can use it and fill it with goodness, all right? Mm-hmm. The word bohu literally means it is in it. What is in it? It's something that can hold the light in it. Thus, tohu is the intermediate state that leads to shattering, whereas bohu is the rectified state of the vessels. Kabbalistically, this is called tikkun, rectification. Okay? This is tikkun. Darkness on the face of the deep refers to the shattering of tehom, the depths. This word can be read tohu. All right? Tohum, really. Tohum. And indicates that these depths result from chaos and confoundment that the original vessels experienced. In addition, rearranging the letters of Tehom, we see the word Hamavet, which literally means death. So, if you look at depths one way, the chaos in the deep literally means death and darkness. All right? Darkness comes from the word to withhold. Together, these allude to the concealment of light from the shattering. And God's Spirit moved Merchepet, I might not even be saying that word right. In the word that Ari finds an allusion to the fate of the kings of Edom. The first and last letters is met, which literally means dead. As a result, mentioned, and the spiritual concept cannot cease to exist. It cannot die. As the Zohar explains, however, it is said it is said to have died when it leaves its true level and descends to a lower level. So nothing God creates can die, is what they're trying to tell you. It can only go to a lower level.
Right. You can't destroy matter.
You can't destroy matter. God can't destroy himself. That's why all dogs go to heaven. All right? The exact parallel to this is the burial of a person's body after it dies. We lower the dead person into the ground, go into a lower level. In the same way, the descent of the kings of vessels of Atzilut to outside the realm of Berea was called their latter death. Despite the shattering and descent, however, the vessels still remain a small amount of holiness. A little bit of good in everybody. Thank God. Mm-hmm. This, again, is similar to a person that dies. His life force does not leave him completely. Rather, there still remains in him. Mm-hmm. And in festival, is that what that says? Trace of life that the Kabbalists call Havel de Garmi, literally the vapor of bones.
That's the whole loose bones. The
vapor of bones. It is through this very small portion of life that he will once again rise. They are talking about the etzem haluz, the luz bone, the top bone in the body. Now, I'm gonna step over here and read this, and y'all can listen to it. Now, remember, Kushta, place of truth. We studied last week. Same name as lose. All right? Mm-hmm. And this whole piece of the shattering of the vessels leads us right up to lose. Another learned word from lose is 4 minutes. Another word for lose is Bet-El. Mm-hmm. Right? And Jacob had his vision at Bet-El. And he said, I saw the face of God. Yeah. All right? Listen. Notice lose iterations connecting the escorting of the Queen Shabbat at the time of nurturing the Luz bone and the Canaanite escorting to the Hebrew warriors to Luz cave. This is a note in Rabbi Back's book at the in the back of the book of Jerusalem
of the Mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jerusalem of the Mind. Now, anyway, there are, aside from the names associated with the cities of Luz, 7 terms used to describe Luz that the sages refer to the complex interface between the human body and lower dimensions, and the emergence of a higher dimensional new body and the resurrection of human consciousness. We can experience this resurrection now, but the resurrection is going to happen. And the more conscious we get about it, the easier it is. Now, they are not in any order. One of them is Etzem HaLuz, which is the Luz bone. One of them is Luz Shel Hashridah, which is the Luz of the spine. One is Havle Dergame. This is the one I just talked about, vapor of bones. See this there. This whole piece is talking about the vapor of bones here, shattering of the vessel and the kings of Edom. They will all be resurrected. But why? That's what Tikkun's for, to fix everybody. Now, one is called Tarvad Rakab, or a spoonful of human decay. One is called Bethuel Ra'amah, Bethuel the deceiver. One is called Kushta, okay, spark of life or truth. And the 7th, there's 7, obviously. The 7th is called Noski. Noski is anointing. This is where the whole anointing stuff comes from. Anointing. Or to liquefy a substance. Does our alchemical talk ring a bell now? Okay? When you're making an alchemical change from 3D to 4D, you're basically liquefying, getting rid of the drush, the contamination.
The 3D.
That's right. The additional term, Tol Orot, duo of lights, is a supernal substance from which the higher dimension that when sprinkled upon the dormant Luz essence will seed and therefore will blossom into eternal life. Remember, this has to do with escorting the queen. And what's that? The little meal after Havdalah. Okay? So see how Shabbat and Havdalah and the shattering of the vessels and all this stuff is tied in?
Right.
Okay? A configuration of these seven iterations of Luz and their reunification can be used to determine the velocity of depths of one entry to the state of Luz. I'm not going to go over that with you. Now, Noski is a very unusual term, not appearing in Scripture, or to be found even in the Talmud, the Midrash, or the Zohar. Nor in any Hebrew dictionary. Sounds like Yeshu Sar HaPanim, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It is a rabbinic neologism of relatively late origin. The earliest reference is found in the Bet Yosef commentary, where Rav Yosef Karo, the author of the Shulchan Aruch, writes, in the Siddur prayer book. This is the guy that wrote the Shulchan Aruch, where every Jew, that is their Bible. Without that, they don't do anything.
Yeah.
He's the one that put it in there. Do you think he knows something?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was Rabbi Cordova's teacher, who was the RE and all of those teachers. Man, this is coming down all from this source.
Okay. Torah right here, right? He says, in the Siddur prayer book, it explains that there is a limb, an aver, like Abraham, aver, a limb, an appendage, an organ in human beings, and its name is Noski. It does not receive pleasure sustenance from act of eating except on the departure of Shabbat. What is he talking about? The loose bone. Right?
Right.
Noski does not translate into English, but its implied meanings are evident. But it's also yesod. Because once the aver is erect, that's the entrance to the loose bone. You see? The root word is derived from nun samet chaf, which means to pour or anoint or consecrate. They pour the oil on the head of the priest. This is what they're doing. It's all about the loose bone. It's all about resurrection. It's all about all that. The word nesek is a libation offering of wine or oil or water. When they do a libation offering, comes from the same root word. Mentioned numerous times in Tanakh and all of the daily prayers, liturgy. So anyway, there's a whole big thing about the fluid state of Noski is the phenomenon of the liquidity of the dew of lights, the resurrection of the dead. This is the hovering over the face of the waters. This is all that. It's all yesod energy.
But that vapors is the study of Torah.
That's right.
That's what keeps that moisture in the bowl.
The study of Torah. That when they went to get Joseph, Joseph said, "You have to carry out my bones, because the Torah is stored in your bones." You see, and it was the bones and Joseph yesod. They're inseparable.
What about cremation?
It's inseparable. This is why cremation has all of its halakha prohibitions. You see, all right. This is why the Germans did it, because they knew. But vapor bones. This is Ezekiel's visions. What about these bones? Can these bones live?
Dry bones.
Dry bones.
Dry
Dry bones. Only you know, God, right?
Yeah.
Only you know, man. This is what it's talking about. This is what's going on right here in this piece. Now, you want me to? I guess we'll probably ought to stop right there because that camera went off. We ought to stop right there because I got a whole nother piece that describes the process of what's going on. So we'll stop right there at the vapor of bones. Through this very small portion of life, he'll once again rise to the world. You see, this is why adding some of this stuff. You know, we just got through teaching of Kushta. You know, we just got through teaching of alchemy. We teach lose all the time, and now we get right here, and it all laid on top of itself. Right where we needed it to in the shattering of the vessels.
You ought to teach that those 5 first verses in Bereshit again. One of the most powerful teachings.
I know.
I mean, that's the resurrection.
I know.
That's the whole.
Yeah, death, burial, and resurrection is in the first verse of the Torah. First 5 verses.
That was a powerful teaching, man. Powerful.
All right, y'all. We'll pick up right there. What I'll do next week is I'll back up and give a little run and start review, because I know that's a lot of stuff, but I wanted to cover that because it hit on it in the piece in this book. And what I want to do is I want to make this interface, inner space teaching basic enough where people can read through the text and study it, but deep enough that the next time they read through it, they'll learn something more, and it just has layers and layers of depth. All right, and a really complete study. And we had to go through Adam Yom Tov because that's today. So we had to cover that, and we needed to talk about B'nai Adam because now we get why we aren't God. You know,
Yeah.
we get it. I finally get it, and it's not that there's any ego attached to it. It's not that we're higher level. It's not that we're this or we're that. Da 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 da. How does it happen? How does it happen? I'll tell you how it happens. When you are attached to a Jew who is attached to that level, they take you there. We can't go there on our own. If your teacher and your rabbi is attached over here, that's where you're going. You can only go where your teacher goes. It's oral. It's verbal. You got to hear it, and you've got to be taught. And we are very fortunate that I get to pull from two guys. One's a Kohen Gadol, and one is
A relative of the Gaon.
yeah, 8th generation son of Gaon of Vilna.
Yeah.
I mean, so because they work on that level, and we grab a hold, it just sucks us in, and we're on the inner side of Atzilut with them, and that makes a complete Adamic structure. That's why we get where we hear what we hear, and we know what we know, and we learn what we learn, because it's handed down and passed down through a tradition, a Talmudic tradition.
Solid base.
And it's solid base, it's Torah based, and nobody understands that. But anybody can go, and that's the whole thing about this lose. Anybody can go. You got to just get plugged in, get hooked up. All right. So I hope y'all enjoyed the class. Torah is amazing. Sages are amazing. I'll see y'all next Thursday.
Something else that's